Hi everyone. I'm not around and I don't know when I'm going to be back, but I'm going to try and get you through SDS Page while I'm gone. The first things you need are in your cabinets, and the other thing you're going to need is something I already opened because I screwed up the first video. So I'll try and redo this. You are going to need to go into your cabinet, and you're going to need your horizontal gel rig, which is this guy. I'm sorry, your vertical gel rig, horizontal. And you're gonna make sure you have one of these. It's called a buffer dam. And I'm seeing that they're already in there, so I guess I have a few extra. Just leave them in your cabinets. But this is actually consisting of 4 pieces. The first piece is the green thing on the top, the kind of beigeish thing in the middle, this buffer dam, and then you're gonna see inside there's something called a cassette. That's that green plastic, or that green gaskety thing. And you're essentially also going to need your power supply, wherever this group keeps there it is. You need your power supply when it's time to actually run these. So you're also going to need to go into the refrigerator in the prep room, and you're going to snag these things called TGX mini protein stain-free gels. So we're going to snag a box or two. I got 5 or 6 boxes in the fridge, just snag one. And in that box, you will find, and I opened it already, but every group is going to need one of these, and this is the actual gel. And there's you'll see a little nick on the side that you can open up the gel from, and you're essentially going to pull out, voila, the gel. The next thing you're going to have to do is, underneath it actually says here, I don't know if you can read it, remove tape at bottom. So there was a little piece of green tape on the bottom of this, and I've already pulled it off. So you're just going to have to kind of pull it off. Finally, you're going to see that there's 2 pieces of plastic and the gel is actually in between the 2 pieces of plastic. There's a piece of plastic on my side, and there's a piece of plastic on the other side. The piece of plastic on my side is a little shorter than the piece of plastic on the other side, and that short piece of plastic fits right into this thing, which we call the cassette. And when you put it into the cassette, the short piece of plastic goes, to borrow a math term, congruent to the gasket in here. So it fits really snugly in there and actually makes a nice watertight bond, watertight seal. The reason for the buffer dam is because these are actually designed to run 2 gels at the same time, but we don't need to do that. So we have a buffer dam, which is basically, again, there's a short and a long piece, and that fits into the other side, the gasket there. So you'll see when this all gets together, everything gets really, really tight, and the idea is that you're going to have a nice waterproof seal held together by that gasket. Now, the idea here is, if you let it go, everything kind of falls apart. But that's why you put the cartridge into this thing called the cartridge holder. And the cartridge holder, you slide it in, and it's got these 2 sort of Western style doors. And as long as the cartridge isn't in there, the Western style doors stay very, very loose. But if you put the cartridge in here with gels, or with a gel and a buffer dam, buffer dam, you can close the Western doors, the saloon doors, and then everything gets really, really tight, and supposedly nothing will leak out. So according to your protocol, this is sort of the first thing that you have to do. Once that's done, you need to snag some buffer, because the next thing we have to do is add buffer into here and then put this in there. And then the electricity actually runs, because of these 2 electrodes, from the inside to the outside of the buffer of the gel. This running buffer you're going to have to get from over here. I want you to pay very close attention. You want 10x SDS Page running buffer. Do not take DNA buffer LB. No, bad. Good. Do this. Okay? So we're going to take 100 mils of this and combine it with 900 mils of distilled water. And when we run out in the back of my prep room, go to Mr. Diamond's room and snag 900 mils from him. Everything that's left over today is going to go right down the sink. So you're probably going to make a little bit more than you need, but that's fine. This is pre-diluted. I'm going to suggest you pour 900 mils of water first, and then pour the 100 mils of the buffer in afterwards, because the buffer is actually soapy water and it'll get really, really, really bubbly. So let's try and prevent that from happening. Once you've got your reagents and the buffer or the gel assembly kind of ready to go, you can very simply take your buffer, pour it right in. You want to come right up to the top. It's okay even if it overflows a little bit. And then you want to check to make sure it's not leaking. So maybe wait a minute or two and just make sure that the buffer in there doesn't leak. You know, you want to make sure that that amount of buffer stays right where it is. If it does leak, you're going to compromise the experiment, and that would be not good. But once you're sure it's not leaking, you can go ahead and pour buffer on the outside of the chamber to about halfway up. Should be good. All right, so you're going to look at this at this point. You're going to see about halfway buffer there, and then this is all full of buffer. The next thing that's going to happen is you have to prepare this gel to accept samples. So what I'm going to do is you actually pull. I don't know if I can do this with one hand. I'll try. You pull straight up, and if you can see, all of a sudden now you've got number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. Those are your wells. And then the crazy thing is, all you got to do, and I tell you in a protocol how to make your samples, but once it's time for your samples, all you do is load them. So I've got some fake sample here. You guys are actually going to be looking at milk today, and then next week, hopefully when I'm back, we'll actually be able to look at our green fluorescent protein, or at least that's sort of my game plan here. I hope it works. But I got this set to 10 microliters. 10 microliters, you can see there. And then you just kind of come touch the front plastic and go right, you can't really see. There you go, right in. And your sample will sit at the bottom of the well. So I'll do that again. Bring up your sample, bring your gel loading tip. This is the real reason that we have these, right up to the front plastic, and then you're going to go right into the well that you want to. Very slowly push out, even push a bubble out, and there you go. So there's your 2 samples that you want to run. You can, dispose of the tip and take care of that business that you have to. The next thing you're going to have to do is snag the lid. Make sure the red sits on the red. You're going to put this all together. Voila. And at this point, you should be pretty ready to go. You can plug in this side to your power supply and let it run for 45 minutes. I want to say at 150 volts, but I'm not positive. Once that happens, we'll check back in. So I push start now, and we'll check back in a second. All right, so my gel is done running, so now I can take this apart. This part gets a little messy. My gel, actually, I didn't run it, but you guys will, so you won't have any blue up in the top anymore. You're gonna run your samples here, and then I ask you to actually take some molecular weight marker and put it in an outer well. So the last well, whatever that last well is going to be, if you're a group of 4, it should be well 9, and if you're a group of 3, it should be well 7, because you're doing 2 samples of milk. You're going to put molecular weight markers in that last well. Anyway, so you'll see some colors in there. It'll be kind of neat. But when this is all done, all you have to do is very slowly pour the buffer out from inside. It makes a little bit of a mess, but it shouldn't be that bad. And then you can undo the saloon doors. And once that's done, sorry for being so shaky, guys. Hang on. There you go. Now we're out. Now I can take this. The rest of this you can dump the contents of that into a sink. The rest of this can go right back into your cabinet. But we got the gel here, and that's what we want. So we're going to bring the gel into the prep room. And you are going to search for a tool ta-da, a tool. There are 3 of them. Keep them in this this cabinet. It says random tools. Yeah, that's what we keep in there. And what you do is, this is kind of cool. It's got a little fork tail on it, and there's an arrow with the tool, and arrows. You'll see them in the gel, but you can't see them with what I've got because it's clear. There you sort of see it. There's an arrow there. So what you do with the tool is you take the tool, and I'll try and do this. Take the tool, you line up the arrows, and then you crack. And it'll sound horrible. There should be a few different arrows around your gel. Maybe just 2. There used to be more. So they're at the top. You take your tool, crack, crack. And then what you can do is just kind of meander down the side and make sure that this whole thing kind of splits in half. Don't worry about breaking it. They're actually pretty resilient. Yeah. But at the end of it, there we go. At the end of it, you want to be able to take the whole thing and split it up. Now, plastic here, and the gel is what's in the middle. So voila, gel. This is polyacrylamide. Again, when it's not solid, not very good for you, but once it is solidified, it's pretty harmless. The cool thing about this is proteins glow on here, just like with our gel green stuff. So it's almost like this has gel green for proteins in it. So you can run it just the same way as we've always run our DNA gels. So you take your gel, throw it onto the plate reader. Voila. And you can throw a little bit of water in there just to get it to kind of sit down nicely. I also realized that just got upside down, so sorry about that. Throw a little bit of water right on here just to get it to, you can take your glove and just sort of get it to sit down nicely. Get out the air bubbles so that you can plug it in there, and then you're literally going to do just exactly what we've always done with the computer. So log me in. The instructions for getting in are up here, but there you go. Go to quantity 1, wait a couple of seconds, select the scanner, make sure that this is on. I'm leaving everything else on, but I'm going to shut this off. So make sure that this is the power supply for the camera is actually turned on. So we'll select the scanner. Or not.